It's amazing to think how much online content these days might not actually be what it seems,
Yeah.
From like articles and images to music and videos.
Mm.
AI is getting so good at creating stuff
Yeah.
that it's hard to tell what's real and what's been made by an algorithm.
Right.
So today, we're diving into SynthID.
Uh-huh.
It's a new tool from Google DeepMind that's tackling this head on.
Okay.
So it's like we're entering a new era of digital forensics,
Yeah, kinda.
where tracing the origin of content is just as important as understanding the content itself.
Yeah, like being able to prove where something came from is becoming essential.
Totally.
Yeah.
So how exactly is SynthID trying to do that?
Well, it's like a digital fingerprint
Yeah.
for AI creations.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so SynthID is a suite of tools
Okay.
that uses deep learning models to embed invisible watermarks into content generated by AI.
So these watermarks are like a hidden signature then,
Exactly.
allowing us to identify AI-generated content later. Okay, so let's say I see a cool piece of art online.
Right.
How would I know if a human or an AI made it?
Well, you wouldn't be able to tell just by looking or listening or reading.
Okay.
But there are special tools that can detect these watermarks.
Gotcha.
And then they can reveal the origin of the content.
So it's kind of like magic.
It is pretty wild.
Embedding something invisible into different types of media.
Yeah.
So how does it actually work,
Well,
like for text versus music?
sure, let's start with text.
Okay.
So SynthID subtly influences the AI's word choices while it's generating text.
Okay.
So instead of using like the most common phrase,
Right.
it might nudge the AI to choose a synonym,
Uh-huh.
still grammatically correct and fitting in the context, but containing that hidden signature.
So the meaning and quality stay the same.
Right.
It's just the style that's encoded with the watermark.
Exactly.
Wow.
And get this, it can work on super short pieces of text, like even just 3 sentences.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So it's weaving this hidden thread through the text.
Yeah.
But what about audio?
Hmm.
Like you can't swap out synonyms in music.
True.
So how do you hide something in audio?
So music has its own language.
Okay.
And in this case, SynthID works on the audio's spectrogram.
Okay.
So it's basically a visual representation of all the frequencies that make up the sound.
Gotcha.
And SynthID embeds the watermark within those frequencies,
Okay.
but in a way that humans can't hear it.
So it's like a secret message in the high notes that only dogs can hear.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like that.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
So what about images and videos?
So for those, SynthID embeds the watermark directly into the pixels.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be easy to remove?
That's what's cool about it.
Okay.
It's designed to survive all the usual editing,
Okay.
cropping, resizing, filters, compression.
Wow.
The watermark stays detectable.
So it's like a super robust watermark
Yeah.
that just clings on no matter what.
Exactly.
So why is spotting AI content so important?
That's a good question.
Like, doesn't matter if a human or an algorithm made it.
Well, in a world where AI content is everywhere,
Right.
being able to identify its origin is crucial for maintaining trust and transparency online.
Okay, but can you give me a real-life example of how that would actually play out?
Sure. Imagine a fake image made by AI going viral
Okay.
and spreading misinformation.
Right.
Platforms could use SynthID to scan that image,
Uh-huh.
detect the watermark, and flag it as potentially misleading.
So it's like a truth-seeking tool
Yeah, pretty much.
to stop AI manipulation.
Right.
Yeah.
And beyond misinformation,
Yeah.
SynthID could be huge for copyright protection
Right.
and making sure sources are authentic.
So where does SynthID fit in the bigger picture?
Well,
Like, is it something everyone can use now, or?
right now it's in beta
Okay.
and being integrated into Google products,
Okay.
like Vertex AI,
Okay.
which is Google's platform for building machine learning models.
So if a developer is using Vertex AI to build a new image generator,
Right.
SynthID would be part of that toolkit,
Yeah.
automatically watermarking the images.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just for developers. It's
Okay.
going into AI content creation tools too.
No.
Like Imagen,
That's okay.
Google's text-to-image generator,
Right.
and ImageFX, which is like a simpler version for anyone to use.
So even someone with zero coding experience using ImageFX would be watermarking their stuff without even knowing.
Right.
Wow.
And it's not just for images either. They're
Uh-huh.
putting it in VO too,
Okay.
Google's video generation model.
So even AI videos can have this fingerprint now.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
So how do you check for these invisible watermarks then?
So for images,
Okay.
Google's got this about this image feature
Right.
in search in Chrome.
Okay.
and that can detect the watermark.
Gotcha. So if I was like a journalist
Right.
and saw a suspicious image, I could use that to see if it was made using Google AI tools.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So it gives more transparency and context to the stuff we see online.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This all sounds really promising.
Yeah.
It's cool how these tools are keeping up with AI,
Right.
but I can't help but think about the ethics
Yeah, for
for
sure.
all this.
As SynthID and similar technologies become more common,
Yeah.
we're going to have to think about some tough questions.
Okay.
Like, how do we balance transparency with the rights of creators?
Yeah, like what if people don't want their work to be so easily identifiable?
Exactly.
That's a tough one for sure.
It is.
Let's unpack all that as we keep going with this deep dive.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. Yeah, it's a tough balance.
So it's like uncharted territory.
Yeah.
With the lines between human and AI getting blurry.
Right. And that's why these conversations are so important.
Yeah.
Because SynthID and these other tools are making us rethink what authenticity means in this digital age.
Yeah, like if an AI can make a song that sounds just like a human made it, how do we define originality anymore?
Exactly.
Who owns the copyright?
Those are big questions.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what are some other ways SynthID could be used?
Well,
You mentioned copyright protection and source authentication.
oh yeah. Let's start with copyright protection.
Okay.
Imagine a digital artist who makes an awesome piece of art with an AI tool.
Right.
With SynthID, they could embed a watermark,
Mm-hmm.
like proof of ownership,
Right.
right into the artwork.
I see.
So if someone tries to steal it,
Right.
the watermark proves it's theirs.
So it's like a digital shield for their work.
Exactly.
That's huge for artists.
Yeah, especially online where it's so easy to copy stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not just for individual artists. News outlets and media companies could use it too.
To stop deepfakes.
Right, or any manipulated media.
So it's about building trust in what we see online.
Exactly. It's all about establishing that chain of trust.
Can you give me an example of how SynthID would work for source authentication?
Sure. Think about like a historical document,
Right.
something super important to a case or research.
Right.
Let's say it's a handwritten letter.
Okay.
SynthID could analyze it
Okay.
and determine if it was really handwritten or
Okay.
if an AI faked it.
So it's like a digital detective.
Yeah, exactly.
Uncovering stuff that we couldn't see with our own eyes.
Right. It adds a whole other level of verification.
So it sounds like SynthID could change how we think about authenticity in all kinds of fields.
Yeah, it really could.
But are there any downsides or challenges we need to think about?
Of course, every technology has its challenges.
Yeah.
One of the biggest is making sure the watermark is robust.
Okay.
AI is always evolving.
Right.
So someone might find a way to get rid of the watermark.
So it's like an arms race between the people who make these tools and
Yeah,
the people who try to misuse them.
Exactly like a cat and mouse game.
Okay.
And then there's a question of scale. How do you implement something like SynthID across the entire internet?
That's a huge question.
It is. It
Yeah.
would require a ton of collaboration
Yeah.
between tech companies, policymakers, and researchers.
It's a massive undertaking.
For sure.
And what about the ethical stuff we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
That balance between transparency and creative freedom.
Right. We don't want to stifle creativity or create a climate of distrust.
Right.
It's a complicated issue.
Yeah, no easy answers.
Definitely not.
We need to have open and honest conversations
Yeah.
about how AI is going to affect society.
Sure.
So it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about how it fits into our values and our culture.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so interesting.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about the tech.
Right.
We're talking about the future of information and creativity and
Yeah.
trust.
This is a lot to take in,
It is.
but I think our listeners are ready for it. So are there any limitations to what SynthID can do right now?
That's a great question, and it gets to the core of SynthID's current limitations.
Okay.
It's a really promising technology, but it's still early days.
Right.
Right now, it's mainly focused on Google's own AI models.
So if I use a different platform,
Right.
like a text-to-music generator that's not from Google,
Right.
SynthID didn't be able to tell if that music was made by AI.
Probably not.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's a big area for development,
Okay.
expanding the scope of SynthID
Yeah.
to work on content from all kinds of AI.
It's a big challenge,
Hmm.
but important for making the internet more transparent.
It is a big challenge.
So for our listeners who might be feeling a little overwhelmed by all this talk of AI,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway?
I think the most important thing
Yeah.
is to remember that critical thinking is crucial.
Okay.
Just because something looks real
Yeah.
doesn't mean it is.
Right.
We need to question the sources of information we see online.
So it's about being informed and discerning,
Exactly.
not just blindly trusting everything we see.
Right, and that's where tools like SynthID can help.
Okay.
They give us another layer of insight,
Okay.
so we can make better decisions about what we consume and share.
So we're empowered to navigate the digital world more responsibly.
Exactly.
And that's important now and in the future as AI keeps evolving.
For sure.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to the philosophical side of AI-generated content.
Okay.
We talked about copyright and ownership.
Right.
But what about the deeper questions about creativity
Hmm.
and the role of the artist when machines can make art?
No, that's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
We're in a time where the lines between human and machine creativity are getting blurry,
Yeah.
and it's making us rethink what art even is.
That sounds like a deep dive for another time.
Yeah, maybe we should save that for another episode.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, it really is mind-boggling to think that algorithms can, like, compose music and paint and even write poetry.
Right.
It makes you
Yeah.
wonder, what does it even mean to be an artist these days?
That's the question everyone's asking.
Yeah.
Philosophers, artists, technologists.
Yeah.
The whole idea of AI art is challenging everything we thought we knew about creativity,
Yeah.
about authorship, about what it means to be human.
Yeah, like, it's like we're on the verge of a new artistic renaissance,
Mhm.
but one where the tools are digital and the inspiration comes from an algorithm.
It really is a fascinating paradox.
It is.
Because on the one hand, AI could make art way more accessible,
Right.
break down those traditional barriers to creation.
So anyone could express themselves creatively no matter their skill level.
Exactly.
But then it makes you think,
Hmm.
if an AI creates something beautiful,
Uh-huh.
do you appreciate it less knowing a human didn't make it?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does it matter where the art comes from,
Oh,
or is it more about the impact it has on you?
I'm not sure. I think for me, the power of art is in how it makes you feel,
Yeah.
regardless of who made it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see how some people might feel like human experience adds something special,
Right.
something that AI just can't replicate yet.
Well, there's no easy answer to that one.
Yeah,
And it's a conversation that's going to keep going
for sure.
as AI art keeps evolving.
But one thing's for sure, this whole AI thing is making us rethink our relationship with art.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder that technology changes how we see the world,
And how we interact with it.
which is why it's so important to talk about the bigger impact of AI.
Right. Like, we can't just ignore the potential problems.
We have to think about bias and the ethical implications and make sure this technology is being used responsibly.
Exactly. It's a responsibility for everyone.
Yeah.
Not just the tech companies.
We all need to be informed and critical and engaged with what's happening in this digital world.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks. So as we wrap up this deep dive into SynthID,
Yeah.
I want our listeners to walk away feeling cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
We're in a time of crazy technological change,
We are.
and AI is a big part of that. It's up to all of us to make sure it's used for good.
For good, yeah.
Yeah,
To empower and enlighten and enrich our lives.
well said.
Thank you.
That really captures what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
It's not about being afraid of the unknown.
Right.
It's about being open to the possibilities,
Yeah.
but also being aware of the risks.
Exactly. Staying informed and asking questions.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
So to our listeners, keep exploring and keep learning and keep questioning.
Keep that curiosity alive.
That's how we'll navigate this exciting new world together.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was fun.
Until next time,
Yeah.
keep your minds open
Yeah.
and keep that curiosity alive.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.